So you want to know which foreign languages will be easiest for you to learn? Well, if you are an English speaker, then I've carefully selected 5 languages that I think are going to be a lot easier for you, which also means faster to learn. And because no one likes to follow the crowd, these particular languages are also perfect if you want to learn a language that's less obvious, more fun, makes you stand out from the crowd. Starting with, in 5th place, Afrikaans. The language of Charlize Theron and Trevor Noah. Well, one of Trevor's many languages anyway. Imagine making fun of politicians with Trevor in Afrikaans. That would be quite fun.
Natuurlik mens kan baie respekvol wees, maar jy kan ook baie informeel wees, jy weet, kaalvoet, plakkies, sulke tipe dinge.
Now, Afrikaans is one of the easiest languages for English speakers to learn and a must if you plan to visit South Africa or any of these cool countries. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Olly Richards and this channel is all about helping you learn a new language quickly through the power of story so that you can become fluent faster and live your best life. Now, back to Afrikaans. You might have heard that Afrikaans is related to Dutch, and it is, but they are by no means identical twins. Afrikaans is its own language and it's a lot easier to pick up than Dutch. For one, there is no grammatical gender. So just like we say the in English to talk about both singular and plural things, the cup, the cups, Afrikaans only has one word, die, which is a lot easier than other Germanic languages like German when you have to choose between 2 or 3 versions of the. Then in Afrikaans, verb conjugation is almost non-existent and there are only 3 tenses. Yes! So there's no need to differentiate between different past tenses like I sang or I had sung or I was singing. In Afrikaans, it's just one word. Same thing in the present tense as well. I walk and I am walking. They're all one phrase in Afrikaans, which is music to the ears of anyone who's struggled with verbs in French or Spanish, for example. But enough of grammar. Let's check out the fun part, the words. Did you know that Afrikaans has some really cool vocabulary? It's a really, really descriptive language. Take the word for a hosepipe, for example. First on the list of everyone's vocabulary to learn in any language. Hosepipe literally in Afrikaans means garden snake. And then there's this one, meaning colour-changing little man. And they call a giraffe a camel horse. I mean, come on, with words like this, I mean, it would be unforgettable. Now, you may be surprised to hear that Afrikaans also has borrowed from Malay, Portuguese, and Bantu languages, but it shares many root words with English, making the spelling rather intuitive. So don't be surprised if you can read Afrikaans way before you can actually speak it. For example, my name is Olly looks almost identical in Afrikaans. Try saying this now with your own name. And then some sentences actually are identical, like my pen is in my hand. So how does all of this help you as a language learner? Well, let's see. You've got logical sentence structure, no inflection, memorable words, meaning it's possible to build up your own sentences, even with little vocabulary, putting it right up there with the easiest languages to learn. Although you will need to watch out for some tricky pronunciation like the ch, which sounds like the ch in Bach. They also roll their R's, which is always a bit of a pet hate for English speakers. But no big deal. Let's change tack for now. No language list is complete without a Romance language. And since I'm deliberately leaving out Spanish from this list, because Spanish is in every single list, coming in at number 4, the easiest language to learn is Italian.
Io rispondevo, ho 2 passaporti, una cittadinanza americana e una cittadinanza italiana, però allo stesso tempo pensavo dentro di me.
Now, if you think you don't know any Italian words, think again. For one, Italian food words are used everywhere. Salami, lasagna, espresso, broccoli, gelato, in my lovely English accent. The list is huge. And then there are everyday science terms like lava, influenza, volcano. See, even without knowing it, you've been using Italian words all your life. But the question of the day is, how easy is it to learn? Let's start with spelling and pronunciation. Well, with only a few exceptions, Italian is phonetic, meaning that you write it like you say it, and you say it like you write it. With only 21 letters in the alphabet, all of which you already know, Italian is highly readable. In fact, most of its consonants and vowels are among the most common sounds found in world languages, and this means you're unlikely to find many words that you can't wrap your mouth around fairly easily. Italians love to articulate their vowels very, very clearly, and so one very cool way to practice this could be by singing and taking your Italian practice into the shower. But seriously, Italian is a very gratifying language to speak, as I found out myself.
È questione di pagare 8 euro o andare o camminare un po'.
Che si cammina un po'.
Non è difficile. è un piacere camminare un po'.
Sì, no, è vero, è vero.
È una ragione per mangiare altro gelato.
Esatto.
È la prima cosa.
The sentence structure is highly rhythmic, with almost all the words ending in vowels, and you have those lovely double consonants that draw the sound out longer, like mamma, ragazzo, basso. This gives a lovely melodic nature to the spoken language, which makes it one of the easier languages to understand. With Italian, you won't be straining to pick out individual words as much as you might have to in French, for example. Now, I actually learned Italian myself a few years ago, and I documented the whole process live on YouTube. So check out this playlist if you want to see how I learned Italian myself in 3 months. Next up, here's a very unexpected language on a list of the easy ones, but all you nomadic lovers of Southeast Asia will be thrilled. It is Indonesian. Now, can you imagine exploring the many thousands of Indo islands, temples, and villages, all while being able to speak the language with the locals?
Halo, apa kabar? Nama saya Nila, saya dari Indonesia dan sekarang saya tinggal di Belanda. Indonesia negara yang sangat kaya ragam budaya, ragam bahasa, dan banyak sukunya di sana.
Indonesian is not only an easy language to learn, but it's also the most widely spoken Austronesian language of all, which means understanding Indonesian will give you a head start on many cool languages spoken around the region of Southeast Asia and Oceania. So let's explore why I think it's a breeze to learn. Firstly, there are no fancy letters. Indonesian is one of the few Asian languages that uses the Latin alphabet. That's right, 26 letters just like English. And even though there's pretty much no grammatical crossover with English and Indonesian, it's still a relatively easy language to pick up. What's also easy is hitting that like button if you've picked up any inspiration so far, and subscribe to the channel too if you like getting inspired to learn languages. So let's talk about that vocabulary in Indonesian. For one, it's really small. You could get by easily on just 1,200 words. And if you add to that really simple spelling, you get one of the world's most phonetic writing systems. There are no silent vowels, no complicated accents, no other confusing elements. They don't even use articles like the and a. So that's a pretty good start, right? Now, some words spoken in Indonesian are even in the English dictionary, like bamboo, sarong, sago, cockatoo, papaya. Now, they have a really interesting way of making plural words, and this I just love. The plural is formed by repeating a word twice. Buku, meaning book, and buku-buku, meaning books. Isn't that awesome? It seems that Indonesians really like making longer words because this language is also agglutinative, which means you glue prefixes and suffixes onto a word to change the meaning. And as long as you understand the base word, it's very easy to follow. Think of how we changed the word comfort into discomfort or uncomfortable or comfortably. In Indonesian, there are thousands of options like that. It's pretty powerful once you get into it. Now, for your favorite part, the grammar. You'll be happy to hear this. Indonesian has no verb conjugations and no gendered nouns. And if you've heard that all Asian languages are tonal, Indonesian is not even tonal. But I'm not saying that it is an easy ride, but it's definitely easier than any other language from the whole region. But not as much as language number 1 on this list, which I'm sure you won't be able to guess, but that's coming up. Number 2 in my list of easiest languages to learn for English speakers is a lot more handy than you might think. This language is spoken in the Caribbean islands of Aruba, Curaçao, Sint Maarten, among others. I'm talking about Dutch. That's right. Dutch is not just a language spoken in the Netherlands. Believe it or not, Dutch is linguistically the closest language to English. If you haven't heard it spoken much, well, it sounds a bit like a combination of German and English, or like an English person speaking Afrikaans.
Zeg maar, in de zomer wordt het wel warm, maar net niet echt lang, lekker zonnig warm. En in de winter is het wel koud, maar het is altijd net niet koud genoeg om echt veel sneeuw te hebben.
So let's figure out why. For one, Dutch shares many pronunciation features with English, and there's loads of shared vocabulary, which is often spelled exactly the same as English. For example, English words like water, plastic, ambulance, hand, museum, and of course, walrus, these all have the same spelling and meaning in Dutch. Now, the grammar is not quite as simple as our previous languages, but it's a lot easier than German, not least because there's no case system. Now, there's the question of the 3 genders in Dutch, but this aspect isn't actually as important as it used to be. Especially in the north, many speakers don't distinguish masculine and feminine anymore, rather kind of merging them into one common gender. So if you want to have a go at Dutch, maybe start watching some Netflix shows from the Netherlands. And while you're picking up phrases, you'll probably notice how innovative Dutch people are with dropping English words into their conversations, like this crucial phrase. The biggest struggle you're likely to have with Dutch is that most Dutch people speak English, but they also like it very much when you speak Dutch because it's not a very common language for foreigners to learn, so even more reason to give it a try. And now, for my final, easiest language of this year, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it is Norwegian.
Hei, jeg heter Emily, og jeg snakker norsk. Jeg ikke fra Norge egentlig, men familien min opprinnelig fra Norge.
Now, in this recent video, I explained why Norwegian is such a cool language to learn, and it has something to do with the Vikings. But what makes Norwegian one of the easiest languages to learn is, well, let's start by looking at the many words that look just like English. Person, festival, ski, glass, finger, problem. But you can really see the proximity to English words in words about nature. So pause the video and see if you can guess what these words mean. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got those. See, you already know some Norwegian. But Norwegian's vocabulary as a whole is actually really small. And the reason is that Norwegians are fans of compound words. So you often see two words joined together to make a new one, like basket and ball in English, or sun and shine. Norwegian does that too, except that there are a lot more of those than we have in English. And then there is the straightforward, simple grammar with consistent pronunciation and easy to learn rules. With many languages, the first thing we stress about is verb rules, but Norwegian verbs have one of the easiest conjugations in Europe, closer to English than German, and basically one verb form per tense. That means they're not conjugated for who or what is doing the action. So whereas English changes, I am, you are, he is, Norwegian just stays the same. In addition, word order closely mimics English, meaning a subject, verb, object, sentence structure. And this is an underrated advantage for language learners because you don't have to change the way that you think every time that you want to say something. Talk like you think, basically. But one very cool reason to learn Norwegian is that it has so many dialects and accents that you can actually get away with your own weird one. Norwegian is cool in this way. They have two written forms of the language, but no standard spoken form, which makes pronunciation not super strict. If you look the part and you know a few sentences, you can just say that you're from a different part of the country. And will Norwegians help you learn Norwegian? They will. In fact, most Norwegian towns and cities, you will find language cafes. And if you're a traveler, you can hang out in a language cafe just to practice speaking and listening to Norwegian. They're usually run by Norwegians who love to help you learn. So you'll probably make some friends, language partners, etc., all in one go. Now, you're not going to learn all 5 of these languages this year, are you? Or are you? Well, if you watch this video, you might, because in this video I reveal the 8 rules for learning languages fast. Most people don't know these rules, which means their language learning is slower than it has to be. And if you apply these rules to learning the easy languages in this video, you're going to be able to learn them crazy fast. So click the video over here to learn what that is all about.